Welcome to Wisdom-Trek with Gramps. I am Guthrie Chamberlain, and we are on day 2860 of our trek. The purpose of Wisdom-Trek is to create a legacy of wisdom, to seek out discernment and insights, and to boldly grow where few have chosen to grow before. The title for today's Wisdom-Trek is The Song of Ascent, Surrounded by the Unshakeable Mountain. In our previous episode on this grand expedition, we looked back with a shuddering sense of gratitude. In Psalm 124, we confronted a terrifying hypothetical question. What would have happened if the maker of heaven and earth had not been on our side? We realized that without the intervention of Yahweh, the raging, chaotic waters of the rebel gods would have swallowed us alive. We celebrated the glorious truth that the divine warrior stepped in, snapped the fowler's snare in half, and set our souls free to fly. We anchored our survival entirely to the name of the Lord. Today, we continue our upward climb on the ancient pilgrim trail. The traveler has survived the wilderness and is now gazing at the magnificent geographical reality of the holy city. We are exploring the sixth song in this collection, which is Psalm 125, verses 1 through 5 in the New Living Translation. The psalmist shifts our focus from the fleeting, fragile nature of our earthly struggles to the massive, permanent, and unshakable geology of God's cosmic headquarters. Let us step onto the trail, look at the mountains, and discover what it means to be eternally secure. The first segment is The Cosmic Center and the Immovable Saint. Psalm 125, verse 1. Those who trust in the Lord are as secure as Mount Zion. They will not be defeated, but will endure forever. The stanza opens with a profound, stabilizing comparison. The psalmist declares, those who trust in the Lord are as secure as Mount Zion. To fully appreciate the immense weight of this statement, we must understand the concept of cosmic geography in the ancient Israelite worldview. In the ancient Near East, mountains were not just piles of rock and dirt, they were the meeting places of the divine. The pagan nations surrounding Israel believed that their gods ruled from towering, majestic peaks like Mount Hermon or Mount Zaphon. The rebel spiritual principalities, the fallen members of the divine council, demanded worship on these high places. In stark contrast, Mount Zion, the hill upon which Jerusalem was built, is not a particularly tall or physically intimidating mountain. Compared to the snow-capped peaks of the north, Zion is relatively modest. Yet, Yahweh chose this specific, unremarkable hill to be the cosmic center of the universe. It is the earthly footprint of his heavenly throne room. Because the Most High God dwells there, Mount Zion cannot be moved. It is immune to the chaotic storms of the rebel gods. It stands firm, defying the spiritual gravity of a fallen world. The psalmist makes a breathtaking theological leap. He states that the human being who places their absolute unyielding trust in Yahweh actually takes on the geological characteristics of Mount Zion itself. When you anchor your soul to the Creator, you become immovable. You become a living, breathing extension of the cosmic mountain. He promises that those who trust will not be defeated but will endure forever. In a world where human empires rise and fall in the blink of an eye, and where our personal circumstances constantly fluctuate, this is an anchor for the soul. The forces of darkness may swirl around you, and the culture may attempt to push you off balance, but if your trust is in the King, you are eternally secured to the bedrock of reality. The second segment is The Divine Perimeter. Psalm 125, verse 2. Just as the mountains surround Jerusalem, so the Lord surrounds his people, both now and forever. As the pilgrim approaches Jerusalem, he observes the physical topography of the region. Just as the mountains surround Jerusalem, so the Lord surrounds his people. Jerusalem is uniquely situated. It sits on a hill, but it is enveloped by a ring of slightly higher mountains, such as the Mount of Olives to the east. In ancient warfare, this natural terrain provided an incredible strategic advantage. The surrounding mountains acted as a massive geological shield, breaking the force of incoming winds and forcing approaching armies to navigate treacherous, uphill bottlenecks before they could ever reach the city walls. The psalmist takes this physical reality and transforms it into a stunning picture of spiritual protection. He is saying, "Look at the hills wrapping their arms around this city. That is exactly what Yahweh is doing for you." We are not left exposed on an open, spiritual plain. The Lord himself forms a thick, impenetrable perimeter defense around the covenant community. When the chaotic, rebel forces of the unseen realm attempt to launch an attack against your soul, they cannot simply walk up to your front door. They must first go through the sovereign commander of the universe. He encompasses his people. He is the vanguard, the rear guard, and the towering, protective wall on every side. And notice the duration of this protection, both now and forever. This is not a temporary, seasonal security contract. The mountains do not get tired, and they do not clock out at the end of a shift. In the same way, the protective, surrounding presence of Yahweh is a permanent, eternal reality, spanning across the ages, long after the current earthly conflicts have faded into dust. The third segment is the expiration date of evil. Psalm 125, verse 3. The wicked will not rule the land of the godly, for then the godly might be tempted to do wrong. Suddenly, the psalmist addresses a deep, painful tension that exists within the hearts of the pilgrims. He says, "The wicked will not rule the land of the godly." Other translations render this phrase, "For the scepter of wickedness shall not rest upon the land allotted to the righteous." This language is deeply rooted in the divine counsel theology of Deuteronomy chapter 32. The world is currently contested territory. The rebel gods and the wicked, human rulers who act as their avatars hold scepters of power over the disinherited nations. They constantly try to extend their dark, chaotic jurisdiction into the land allotted to Yahweh's people. When the pilgrim looks around the world, it often seems like the wicked are winning. Corrupt politicians prosper, deceitful systems thrive, and the righteous are marginalized. But the psalmist steps in with a divine, prophetic guarantee. He declares that the scepter of the wicked has a strict, non-negotiable expiration date. Yahweh will not permit the forces of chaos to establish permanent, uncontested rule over his inheritance. The occupation is temporary. Why does God place this limit on the power of evil? The psalmist gives us a profound psychological reason, for then the godly might be tempted to do wrong. Literally, the Hebrew text suggests that if the oppression lasts too long, the righteous might reach out their hands to iniquity. The Creator intimately understands the fragility of the human frame. He knows that we are made of dust. If we are subjected to the crushing, unrelenting pressure of injustice, generation after generation, without any hope of relief, even the most faithful, devoted believer might eventually snap. The temptation to assimilate, to adopt the corrupt practices of the pagan culture just to survive, would simply become too great. Therefore, out of his fierce, fatherly compassion, Yahweh intervenes. He breaks the scepter of the wicked and limits the duration of the trial, ensuring that the burden never outweighs the grace he provides to endure it. He protects his people from the breaking point. The fourth segment is the fork in the road and the final blessing. Psalm 125, verses 4 and 5. O Lord, do good to those who are good, whose hearts are in tune with you. But banish those who turn to crooked ways, O Lord. Take them away with those who do evil. May Israel have peace. In the final verses of the song, the psalmist offers a powerful, dual-sided prayer, clearly marking the division between the two paths of humanity. First, he intercedes for the faithful. O Lord, do good to those who are good, whose hearts are in tune with you. He is asking God to actively bless, favor, and vindicate those who have maintained their covenant loyalty. The phrase, whose hearts are in tune with you, literally means those who are upright in their hearts. In a crooked, deceptive world, these are the individuals who have kept their internal compass pointed firmly toward the cosmic order of the Creator. They have refused to bend their convictions to match the shifting winds of the culture. The psalmist asks the righteous judge to reward that unbending integrity. But the prayer takes a sharp, uncompromising turn in verse 5. But banish those who turn to crooked ways, O Lord. Take them away with those who do evil. The crooked ways represent the deceptive, twisting paths of the rebel spiritual forces. These are the Israelites who claim to belong to the covenant community, but who secretly compromise. They dabble in syncretism, engaging in the idolatry and the corrupt business practices of the surrounding pagan nations. They are trying to keep one foot in the kingdom of light and one foot in the empire of darkness. The psalmist asks Yahweh to expose this hypocrisy. He prays that those who deliberately choose the crooked path will be led away and banished along with the outright, blatant evildoers. In the ultimate cosmic courtroom, there is no middle ground. You cannot hide your divided loyalty behind a religious facade. The Creator will eventually separate the wheat from the chaff, completely removing the agents of chaos from his holy mountain. The psalm concludes with a short, powerful, and triumphant declaration, "May Israel have peace." Here is our familiar foundational anchor word, shalom. True peace, ultimate wholeness, and complete cosmic harmony can only be achieved when the wicked are removed and the righteous are securely surrounded by the presence of Yahweh. The pilgrim stands inside the city, looks out at the protective ring of mountains, and speaks this profound blessing of shalom over the entire covenant family. Psalm 125, verses 1 through 5, provides us with a magnificent, unbreakable fortress for our minds and our souls. It teaches us that when our trust is placed entirely in the Creator, our lives take on the permanent, immovable qualities of Mount Zion itself. The shifting politics and the cultural storms of this world cannot uproot a soul that is anchored to the throne of God. As you walk your trek today, visualize the mountains surrounding Jerusalem. Remember that the Lord your God is actively wrapping his presence around you, acting as an impenetrable, eternal shield against the rebel forces of this age. If you feel overwhelmed by the corruption of the world, take comfort in the fact that the scepter of wickedness has a strict expiration date. The Creator will not allow the pressure to break you. Keep your heart in tune with the King, refuse the temptation of the crooked path, and rest securely in the unshakable, everlasting shalom of your God. If you found this podcast insightful, please subscribe and leave us a review. Then encourage your friends and family to join us and come along tomorrow for another day of Wisdom-Trek, Creating a Legacy. Thank you so much for allowing me to be your guide, mentor, and, most importantly, I am your friend as I serve you through this Wisdom-Trek podcast and journal. As we take this trek of life together, let us always live abundantly, love unconditionally, listen intentionally, learn continuously, lend to others generously, lead with integrity, leave a living legacy each day. I am Guthrie Chamberlain, reminding you to keep moving forward, enjoy your journey, and create a great day every day. See you next time for more daily wisdom.